I need help with my nephew, Nicky. The kid is 8, and he's been doing magic tricks since he saw the amazing Howard perform at his 5th birthday. It was cute at first, but it started to get a little annoying as the years passed. He wears his cape everywhere, and if you try to make him take it off, get ready for a tantrum. I won't take him swimming anymore. It's just too embarrassing. His father, whoever he is, has never been in the picture. My sister, Gina, is a single mother at her wit's end working 2 jobs just to pay the bills. I work from home doing tech support, meaning I babysit often. But I don't know how to explain any of this to her. When Nicky first started learning magic, it was all the basics. He separated interlocking rings, had a wand with flowers inside. He even tied his never-ending tissues together for an impressive display. Until yesterday, he was pretty terrible. His small and clumsy hands couldn't master the smooth motions needed for the more delicate stunts. Hell, poor kid could barely get those rings separated. I can't tell you how many times I've had to vanish behind a couch, but I draw the line at being sawed in half. I learned to stay vigilant with YouTube after I caught him trying to make my cat disappear in the microwave. I mean, no, he was trying to hurt her. And the cat is fine, thankfully, but he didn't have a rabbit. He thought she was a reasonable substitute as she's roughly the same size. As for the microwave, it's a fancy box, capable of fireworks. But you believe that little scamp put tinfoil in there? Luckily, I heard the hissing and arrived before he could get the door closed. And I don't think he's gonna repeat that mistake again. Trust me. But, I mean, I can't complain too much. His magic obsession helped him forget Mortimer. What kid names their imaginary friend Mortimer? Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me get started at the beginning. I've always considered myself a good uncle. I love him like a son. He always comes first. But Halloween is sacred to me. When Gina learned she would be out of town for this year, I knew Nicky would expect the traditional day of cartoons and candy his mother always provided, despite knowing I had my own important rules. That's how kids work. I knew if I took him to the haunted corn maze after trick-or-treating, he might have a nightmare. But I thought it was a risk worth taking. It was my last chance to go, and no one else could babysit. I know that mazes are overrated, but sue me. I love cheesy. Nicky the Magnificent would be performing on a sugar high that night, and I wanted to treat myself first. Is that a crime? Seriously, I'm asking. Because that kid came out of there all kinds of throwed. Plenty of kids his age went. It was a normal setup. Cheap decorations, costumed teenagers. You can't get more basic. Nicky is a sensitive kid. Stick with me, Nicky, I said. They won't come close if you're with an adult, I promised.
Are you sure?
He worried. Positive. If they get near you, I'll give them a glare that'll have them pissing their pants, I assured. His high-pitched giggles meant the negotiations were won. Everything would have been fine if he listened. But no. I knew I should have put one of those leashes on him. I really did. When we finished trick-or-treating, I checked his candy so we could eat on the way to the cornfield. I thought if I kept him happy, I could enjoy the maze with minimal distraction. When there's a kid involved, silence is never a good thing. I took Nicky's hand as we walked under the Grim Reaper's scythe marking the maze's entrance. He made a quiet sound, but it was more disgust than fear. How I played a part in raising a little boy who doesn't like monsters, I'll never understand. We did fine for the first 20 minutes. Freddy, Jason, and Michael were cool enough to keep a respectable distance when I gave the universal, "Please no, my kid's a crier," signal. Nicky even started to have fun when he discovered the dry ice. Smoke machines would never satisfy him again. As I explained why he wasn't allowed to touch the dry ice, a pair of hands covered my eyes, and I was almost knocked over by a sudden weight. "What the?"
Guess who?
The voice playfully whispered into my ear. Excited, I gave her a quick spin before she jumped off. "Emma? I thought you wouldn't be back until tomorrow.
I know, I wanted to surprise you. And make sure you weren't hanging around with any unsavory characters.
She hugged me, utilizing her best puppy eyes to radiate innocence. Yeah, because I've spent the last year of my life convincing you to move in with me just so I can cheat on you the day before it finally happens. I smiled, trying not to be annoyed. She was still suspicious of my ex.
I'm not worried about you, but you never know what that bitch is gonna do. Besides, I have enough competition with this magic man.
She ended the conversation by engaging with Nicky.
Hey, little man. Did you miss me?
Aunt Emma, did you see?
He pulled her over to the dry ice, telling her everything I taught him moments before as if he's known it for years. She indulged his every word.
I do. We should get some for tonight's act.
All her paranoid insecurities paled in comparison to how good she was with the kid. Well, to be fair, she wasn't completely paranoid. Emma's ex cheated on her their entire relationship. I try to be patient, but how many years does it take to prove myself? Come on, kiddo. I'm ready for movie time. I tried to shut it down right there. I was ready to walk away and never look back. Another few turns and we could have been at the exit. But no.
Oh, I want to see more decorations.
Nicky whined, completing the brat cliche by suddenly enjoying that which she hated 30 minutes ago. I opened my mouth to argue, but Emma spoke first.
Oh, come on, let's finish the tour.
She grabbed my hand, trying to pull me from the exit. 10 minutes later, we were examining a scarecrow display when a voice called from behind us.
Hey, Nicky. I thought you didn't like spooky stuff.
Emma's nails dug into my arm as Becky approached our small group. We couldn't just leave when I wanted. Nicky abandoned the decor to hide behind me, which is where I assumed he would stay. We were just leaving, I said, trying for a quick escape.
Oh, I thought you came this way on purpose. Didn't you know the exit was a left after the jack-o'-lanterns?
Becky slurred, confirming she was already 3 shots past tipsy.
Jeez. How long have you been following us, stalker?
Emma sneered.
Don't get your granny panties in a wad. If you really want to know, I was looking for my date.
Becky snapped. We haven't seen anyone else. Good luck. I tried to walk away, but we were cornered. We couldn't pass without physically bumping into Becky, and considering that's what she wanted, I hoped to avoid it.
You don't have to be in such a rush. It's pathetic how you let her control everything you do. Are you allowed to have any friends?
Becky was a world-class tactician when it came to drama. If I let the comment stand, Emma would be upset, or possibly kill her. Either way, it would definitely ruin my night. I had to respond. You being a toxic bitch has nothing to do with Emma, I said, stood straight with my best poker face.
I guess a slut like her has plenty of tricks to keep you in line. But don't be surprised when you have no friends left. Have fun finding the dweeb.
Becky yelled, stomping toward the exit.
I told you. It doesn't take a genius to find you here.
Emma shook with fury. I put my arm around her for comfort as Becky's last words hit home. What did she mean by... I turned to check on Nicky and saw nothing but empty space. I looked around the small clearing, but he was gone. How could he... There's nowhere to go. It's just corn, Nicky. Where are you? Emma was equally confused. You know how he gets when people yell. He must have backed right in there. I didn't even feel him let go of my shirt. I examined the place he would have entered, trying not to panic as we continued calling his name. It's over now, buddy. The scary lady is gone. We listened for a response.
Let's split up. He wouldn't just wander through the corn. He must have cut through another path.
Emma suggested confidently. We went toward the exit while I retraced our steps through the maze. We stopped every employee along the way to inform them of a rogue 8-year-old magician who would wet his pants if they scared him. Several plainclothed kids joined the search, but I became increasingly worried as 5 minutes turned into 15, then 30. We were on the phone with the police when an employee reported he'd been found. Nicky was safe, waiting at the exit. Emma was there before me, but the family who found them were so upset that they had already left. A family of 4 were near the clown section when they heard voices. They couldn't make out the words, but it sounded like children. The father stood on a haystack to see over the stalks, but they were at the maze's end. Not knowing if the kids were lost or goofing off, he called out to them. The voices stopped suddenly, as if spooked. The father tried again, assuring them no one was in trouble. There was no reply. Instead, they heard the soft sobs of a small child. The father moved closer, still calling out as the weeping grew louder. Finally, the man walked into the corn. The moment he entered, the cries turned into screams, and the corn began to shake wildly as if someone were running away. It only lasted a few seconds. Then all fell silent. Moving on pure adrenaline, the man ran forward. Almost 30 yards away, he found Nicky. The kid was alone, in the middle of all that corn. The man couldn't coax him into speaking, but he was able to carry him out of there. After finding a staff member, the couple was understandably ready to get their own kids home. Somehow, Nicky didn't have a scratch, but his clothes were covered in filth. I wasn't surprised he wouldn't talk. He's so shy around strangers. After thanking everyone profusely, I scooped him up and ran for it. I talked the whole way home, but nothing earned a response. What surprised me more was his demeanor. If he were crying, angry, or frightened, I would understand. Those would be normal responses. But whatever this was, well, before that moment, I would have bet my life he wasn't capable of such composure. When we got home, he went straight to his room.
I've never seen him like this. It's a little scary.
Emma shuddered. Me neither. That man said he heard voices and something big running away. Did someone try to catch him? Is that what happened? Being home made reality sink in, and I started to lose it.
Don't assume the worst. We don't know what happened yet. All that matters is he's safe and sound.
Emma steered me to the couch, turning the TV on to break the eerie silence.
Let's give everyone a second to calm down. If he doesn't come out, I'll ask to be tonight's amazing assistant.
That's why you're the smart one. I laid my head on her shoulder and tried not to dwell on how painful Gina would make my death. We sat there for almost 30 minutes before our patience depleted. Emma went to Nicky's room, attempting to initiate conversation while I hid in the hallway.
Hey, Knick-Knack. I brought you some candy. But if you don't want it, I'll just leave it here.
I could imagine her holding the bag out and placing it on the desk when he wouldn't accept. There was a long pause before she tried again.
So, I haven't seen a performance all week. I was hoping I could be your assistant tonight.
Another stretch of silence. She came out. Her expression was a mixture of sadness and confusion. I rose quietly to follow her back to the den.
He wouldn't even look at me. He just stood there, staring out the window. He's still wearing those filthy clothes, too.
Emma nervously twirled her thick, red hair through her fingers.
I think tonight's performance is officially cancelled, to say the least.
Gina's gonna kill me. You think you can keep the house when I'm gone? It's strange the things you think when frightened.
I don't think we should worry her while she's 1,000 miles away. Let's see how he feels tomorrow.
Emma reasoned. She'll know the second she hears my voice. I felt utterly defeated. My brain was incapable of formulating coherent thoughts.
Give me your phone. I'll send pictures of him in costume with a message about how tired you are. When she calls, she'll think you fell asleep.
Emma looped her arm through mine as she began texting. I waited for her to press send. It's scary how good you are at lying, I whispered.
I'm not lying. I'm just going to omit a few scary facts that serve no other purpose other than...
Emma's words were cut off as she screamed into my ear. Holy sh... I started as we both jumped to our feet. I followed her shocked gaze to the hallway behind me. My heart skipped a beat when I saw Nicky, standing in the dark shadows just outside his door.
I'm sorry, bud. You surprised me. I didn't hear you come out.
Emma's face flushed to match her hair. Nicky didn't move or speak. He simply stood in the darkness, glaring at us. Are you trying to scare me? If you are, you need to stop now, okay? This kind of fear is not fun, Nicholas. Do you hear me? The stern parent voice wasn't usually part of my cool uncle routine. The words felt dirty on my tongue. Never let them smell your fear. If they sense weakness, they will pounce. Gina's first parenting lesson repeated in my mind. Drawing on its strength, I tried again. You go to your room right now! I stomped my foot with added flair. Nicky remained motionless. If looks could kill, I would not be alive to beg for help right now. I was prepared to drag him out, but as I stepped forward, he returned to his room. He went calmly, without a care in the world. I intended to follow, but Emma held me back. You better change out of those dirty clothes right now, mister. Don't you dare get mud on those sheets, young man. I screamed at the closed door.
Wait. Maybe we should see what he does. He might go to sleep. If he's not better by the morning, we can take him to a doctor.
Emma suggested. And say what? I snapped. My nephew disappeared into a corn maze and now his vocal cords are broken? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. I sank into the couch, defeated. After a slight hesitation, she sat.
It's okay. But for the record, I meant a therapist. It might be good for him anyway, you know, in general.
I choked down the anger, keeping my voice level and soft. I know you aren't wrong. I just can't shake this feeling of dread, like something terrible happened.
No matter what happens, all we can do now is wait. Do you still want a horror movie marathon?
Emma flinched, and it made me feel terrible. I may have lost my taste for those. I whispered. Leaving the TV alone entirely, we held each other in silence until we ignored Gina's call. She would already kill me for breaking her son. Delaying her knowledge one more day would hardly make a difference. Emma and I fell asleep entangled on the couch and didn't wake up until 7 a.m. Emma rushed to prepare for work as I tiptoed to Nicky's room. His filthy clothes were piled in the hallway. I cracked his door enough to see his sleeping form and quietly retreated. After tossing his clothes into the wash, I updated Emma.
See? I bet he's fine now.
She sighed with relief. After she left for work, I busied myself with chores while waiting for Nicky to wake. I kept him home from school, not wanting kids to have another reason to label him as different if he wasn't 100%. It was close to 9 when I heard the soft click of his door. I stayed in the kitchen, heart racing as I listened to his approach. He slowly walked to the table and took his usual seat. Once settled, he initiated a new staring contest. Frustration, terror, and regret formed a heavy ball of lead in my stomach. You're still giving me the silent treatment? I kept my voice neutral.
I wish to eat, please.
His voice came out eerily monotone, but the look of loathing was gone. Now his face was the picture of indifference. I prepared a bowl of cereal while deciding what to say. I know you're upset. But if you don't tell me what happened, I don't know how to help. Placing the bowl before him, I found myself holding my breath.
I lost my way for a moment. I'm so sorry to have caused any inconvenience.
He answered in the same creepy monotone. Inflection aside, it was unsettling to hear the strange choice of words flow effortlessly through his mouth. It was time for the moment I truly feared. Did someone try to make you go with them last night? It's really important you tell me the truth on this, bud. I promise. You aren't in trouble. My words were slow. It felt like I was speaking underwater. It was the longest pause of my life. I felt every heartbeat's prominent thump in my throat as I waited.
A rude adolescent chased me, but Mortimer scared them away.
The brief feeling of relief was violently ripped away as I understood what he was telling me. Oh, so Mortimer is back, huh? That's cool, bud. We haven't seen him for quite a while now. I then watched him walk to the den. I knew I should follow, but I was frozen. Mortimer first came around when Nicky was in kindergarten, but he wasn't a nice friend like kids usually invent. Mortimer was a defense mechanism against bullies, and the reason we had to switch to a private school. I decided to kill Mortimer with kindness. I joined Nicky on the couch, relieved to see he was enjoying the old David Copperfield recordings. Do you want to practice the new act before Emma comes home? Maybe Mortimer can help. Just as I thought he wasn't going to answer, he surprised me.
I don't need to practice anymore.
Why's that?
Mortimer can share his magic with me.
He explained as if I were the child. Right. Silly me. Do you think you could give me a sneak peek? I asked. Again, just as I thought I wouldn't get a response, he surprised me. Rising to his feet, he extended both palms to show me their emptiness. One hand slowly reached up, and I felt a slight tickle as his fingers brushed my ear. He held out the coin for my inspection, face still completely blank. The trick was flawless. His first success at the coin behind your ear. But he looked as if it was the 1,000th. I don't know which to be more surprised by, his ability or the reaction. That was amazing. I'm so proud of you, Nicky. I wanted to ask how he finally mastered it, but feared upsetting him. Last time someone contradicted Mortimer's existence, a classmate got 12 stitches, hence being forced to change schools. Can I see another one? I asked instead. I don't believe I'll ever be able to describe the absolute horror I felt at his next stun. I still shake at the thought. Without standing, Nicky removed his top hat, hand waving. I forced myself to breathe as he reached deep inside, almost to his shoulder. When he withdrew his hand, he held a white, fluffy bunny. I leapt from my seat, stuttering nonsense. Remaining infuriatingly silent, Nicky set the rabbit aside and turned his attention back to Copperfield. Realizing I came to rest in a squatting position, I slowly rose to peer over the couch arm. The bunny we did not own was still there, looking incredibly real and curiously well behaved. I carefully reached out to pet it, jumping a little at the soft, smooth fur beneath my fingers. I sent a picture to Emma before picking it up. I'm very impressed, bud, but I'm gonna get our new friend some lettuce. I'll be back, okay? My voice cracked, but I'm almost certain he didn't notice. I retreated from the 8-year-old with no shame. I set the bunny right next to the fridge with a handful of lettuce while I found my cat carrier. I didn't know what else to do, but it seemed content. I tried to explain what happened over text, but Emma didn't believe me. She thought I finally lost my mind, and I can't blame her. Her only response was,
I'm coming home right now.
30 minutes later, she was inspecting the bunny for herself.
Magic isn't real, babe. He must have found it somewhere. Maybe it's the neighbor's pet?
Emma guessed. You didn't see him when he did it. He wasn't proud or excited. He didn't even smile. It was disturbing how old he seemed. Come on, you have to see. I insisted.
Hey, Knick-Knack. I missed you so much.
I had to leave work early.
She dropped onto the couch, putting her arm around him as she spoke.
Welcome home, Auntie.
Nicky answered without looking at her.
I heard you had some new tricks. Can I see one?
I found myself taking a few steps back, wanting more distance between myself and whatever else was in that hat. I had to fight the urge to pull Emma away from him, and I felt a guilty pang at my desire to see Gina return. Nicky reached deeply into the hat once again, but this time he found roses, real ones. The look on Emma's face told me she was beginning to understand.
Thank you. That was so good. I'm going to put these in some water. Babe, can you help me find a vase?
Yeah, no problem, I answered, following her to the kitchen.
What the actual...
She began. I know, that's what I was trying to say. I set the vase next to the bunny, grateful the roses would be easier to tend.
What do we do? I don't think I want to see any more magic tricks for a while.
I don't know. I'm afraid to talk about it when he might hear us. It's lunchtime. Let's feed him and hope he won't do any more tricks if we don't ask. It was the only idea I could think of, so that's what we did. It worked well until 8. We almost made it to his bedtime without incident, but Nicky had a sudden mood swing when the last Copperfield tape ended. As if someone flipped a switch, he leapt to his feet, taking a sweeping bow, hat in hand. He used his performance voice like the last 24 hours never happened.
Attention, attention. Tonight, Nicky the Magnificent and Mortimer the Malevolent will give you the thrill of a lifetime. But first, I'll need a volunteer from the audience.
So many things went through my mind at that moment. My brain fought to believe the kid confused the words malevolent and marvelous, but couldn't quite pull it off. If I had time to think, I would have shut the whole thing down. But I didn't. Emma was standing, prepared to volunteer as she had so many times before, but I couldn't let her. I instinctively pulled her back, rising to take her place. She sat down without argument, but clearly confused. Where do you want me? My voice was surprisingly steady.
Step this way, right into the amazing closet of curiosities.
Nicky led me to the coat closet, and I had to acknowledge the humor in believing he would suddenly have a real disappearing cabinet as well. He pushed the clothes aside and gestured for me to enter. The door closed, and I felt foolish at my sudden fear of the dark.
Now, I will say, the magic works and my lovely assistant will vanish, and after 60 seconds, I will say the return incantations and she will reappear. Are you ready?
The magic words sounded impressively like flawless Latin. I couldn't repeat them here, even if I were willing. When Nicky said the last words, all fell completely silent, and I realized he was giving me time to hide. I felt in the darkness, looking for a coat to cover myself, but felt nothing around me. There's a place beyond fear, a place so foreign you lose all ability to process the primal emotion. My theory is that the brain enters a state where it doesn't bother with fear due to the certainty its circumstances are fabricated. That was my experience as I felt the ice-cold concrete beneath me. I used my phone's flashlight to check my surroundings and immediately wished I waited 60 seconds in the darkness. It was a literal collision of curiosities. I was somehow standing in the most disturbing, macabre museum in history. In front of me stood a large showcase filled with jars, all containing various organs. Human or otherwise, I have no idea. Everywhere I looked was aisle after aisle of similar display and torture devices. The walls were covered in framed photographs of history's darkest moments. I saw graphic images from every war, work of every serial killer, and worse, all displayed like famous artwork. Then I heard loud, lumbering footsteps. I wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't cooperate. I began counting, desperate to know how many seconds remained or if I would really return. The footsteps grew closer, louder, until finally I squeezed my eyes shut, too afraid to look. The The sound died instantly, and I pictured a faceless monster standing before me.
Ta-da!
Nicky yelled, throwing open the door.
I'm sorry you didn't have time to meet Mortimer. Do you want to try again?
I opened my eyes to the bright lights of the den and the cold, insidious look on my nephew's eyes. Emma rushed past him, her face full of concern. She pulled me to my feet and away from the closet. Before we made it to the safety of our bedroom, I already decided the thing would be sealed shut. There was nothing irreplaceable in there.
You okay? What was it? You were gone.
I could barely make out her words as she cried into my shoulder. I told her everything, unable to hold it in. She didn't doubt my story this time. Promise me you'll never do one of his tricks again. I couldn't live with myself if you had to go through that. I gently turned her face to meet my eyes, needing her to understand my desperation. She nodded in agreement, unable to speak. Refusing to let me out of her sight, Emma followed me back to the den, but Nicky was no longer there. Instead, we found him in his room, sleeping, or pretending to sleep. Either way, we couldn't help feeling a wave of relief. We locked ourselves in the bedroom to talk about what we should do. The police would think we're crazy if we tried to report this. That's when we decided to try the internet. Emma fell asleep hours ago, and I'm exhausted. But it's worth it to have this finished. I'm going to upload this and try to get a few hours of sleep myself. I'll be back to check this in the morning. Any advice would be most appreciated. Scared for Nephew Post. Submitted November 2nd, 2021. 3:03 a.m. I want to start by saying thank you all for the support. Most of you have been incredibly kind, and I appreciate your words of encouragement. Emma is at work and Nicky is in school, so I have time to address a few comments. Don't worry, I told his teacher he's grounded from magic. Everyone should be perfectly safe. The most popular theory seems to be that Nicky is possessed. Whether Mortimer was always real or something else is using his name, I have no idea. During breakfast, I researched the cornfield as advised. It seems a house was built there in 1913, but it burned down 3 years later. It is believed the wife, Patty Johnson, suffered at the hands of her abusive husband. One night, after a particularly bad beating, Patty drugged Earl's food, and after he passed out, she burned the house to the ground with both of them inside. A few years later, farmers bought the land for corn, but no one else has lived there since the Johnsons. No one was familiar with the Museum of Nightmares, but a few of you suggested these were images put into my mind opposed to a physical place. If that is so, the hallucinations were impressive with full 5-sensory immersion. Since I never intend to go there again, I hope it won't matter. Mythosmania 2632 sent detailed instructions on how to perform an at-home exorcism. It sounds a little complicated, but I don't see another choice. Gina will be home this evening, and I cannot let her see Nicky this way. If all goes well, I should be able to exorcise the kid after school and have him back to normal before Emma's home. I just need to do a little shopping and prepare a space in the basement. I can't believe how many specific colored candles are required, or that the chalk I used to draw the incredibly complicated symbol must be black. And I hope the chicken blood from the butcher is okay. I'm not sure where else to get it. I guess I should hurry. It may take longer than expected to finish preparations. Scared for Nephew post submitted November 2nd, 9:27 a.m. I never made it inside the first store. The school called as I pulled into Sam's Club. Parents must pick their children up immediately. One of Nicky's classmates, Trent something, has disappeared. Police are investigating. More updates to come. When I arrived, Nicky's teacher loaded him to the back seat before walking around to the driver's window. She didn't know what could have happened. The kids were taking turns going to the bathroom. You know, a few at a time. But Trent never came back. The other boys said he was still in the restroom when they left. She was hysterical, eyes puffy from crying. Then she told me that Nicky was the last to see him and to keep a special eye on him. She thought he was in shock. Can you guys believe that? She didn't suspect him in the least. Hell, she was worried about him. Desperate to escape, I thanked her for the warning and drove forward as she continued talking. I waited until we were safely away before speaking to Nicky. What the hell did you do? I yelled.
Nothing, Mortimer.
He began, but I cut him off. Fine. What did Mortimer do? Just tell me. Because your little ass is bringing that kid right back. Do you understand me? You will not leave a third grader in that nightmare. I don't care what he did to deserve it. As spit flew from my flushed face, it occurred to me that I could be the crazy one. What if none of this was real?
Mortimer didn't like Trent. It's too late for him. And you better watch out how you talk to me, or next time you'll stay gone.
Nicky said in a voice too deep for an 8-year-old. Some involuntary reflex still reacted to the sight of his tiny form threatening me. Without meaning to, I slammed on the brakes, throwing us forward in our seatbelts. I drove home more carefully after that, but it seems like the damage was done. The moment we stepped inside, his little hands grabbed me from behind, and I found myself back in that museum of nightmares. Everything was exactly as I left it, except for one difference. Now I could see who the footsteps belonged to. Mortimer was sickly yellow, at least 6'5" and stick-thin with a bald, pointy head. His toothless grin made me nauseous as his tongue licked at his lips. His eyes were full black, and his nose was missing, leaving a wide, triangular hole in the center of his face. He let out a low, guttural laugh at the sight of me. I made no conscious plans or effort for my actions, but somehow I was able to speak despite my fear. You leave my nephew alone! You can't have him! I yelled.
Why would I give up such a fine specimen? He agreed to be mine fair and square. So desperate he was for a friend.
The thing laughed again, louder than before. He's just a kid! He's nothing! Take me instead, I agree. Fair and square as it were. Can you believe it? When I read the comments about offering a trade, I immediately discounted them. Anything that didn't prove the traditional fairy tale ending was simply not an option. Yet, here I was, offering my body as a vessel for some deranged monster. Should I have been surprised he agreed? I was. Maybe that's what he wanted all along. Maybe that's how they get the adults, by preying on our young. I guess it doesn't matter now. What's done is done. I can feel him inside of me, trying to influence my writing. He wants you all to come visit. He wants everyone to meet Mortimer the Malevolent, so you can all be a part of our collection. I'm afraid I need to go now. Emma is home. I can hear Nicky talking in hushed tones. I better go check on them. Thanks again for all your help. I couldn't have done it without you. Address listed below. No need to RSVP. Bring your friends. Scared for nephew. Post submitted November 2nd, 5:32 p.m.